There are several things I wish I had discovered in my early 20s that could have made a huge difference in how things turned out in my life. When I was 14 years old, my father was killed in an airplane crash. That changed everything in our family. He had insurance that was tied up in his company, and unfortunately, 2 years later, we found that that insurance would not pay off. My mother would have to go back to work after not being in the workforce for 20 years. So she goes back to work, but she makes minimum wage. And so whenever I had a need, she would say, "We don't have enough money for that." And that would be heard quite often in our household. As a result of that, when I became an adult and got into the workplace myself, I learned that I needed to work hard. And one of the reasons I needed to work hard is that I didn't want to ever experience that again. I didn't want to have to, fend off to just get what I needed barely to get by. And so I became a workaholic. And so as I got into my adult years and got into relationships, I discovered something about myself. I discovered that I became controlling whenever money was involved. I didn't want to have the funds that I had destroyed by a relationship. And so there was always conflicts with my spouse about money. And I became a tightwad, basically. And so as I got older, almost into my 40s, I discovered that this issue was causing a lot of problems in my life. Running a business, I would be punitive with my employees if they failed financially. I would be very controlling over the finances. And so this would go on, and ultimately it would end up causing a lot of problems. It would lead to a failed marriage. And so I went on with this for several years until I had a major crisis in which I lost all of my wealth. I had a crisis from a Bernie Madoff type of scam that I lost over $500,000. I was close to being able to retire financially in my 40s. And here this crisis happened. But that crisis became the entry door for freedom for me because it helped me deal with the spiritual stronghold of insecurity and fear that led me to control people and circumstances. As a result of that, God delivered me, and I became free to be able to walk in God's purposes for my life. Do you have something that maybe impacted you as a young person? Well, look to God to ask Him what that might be and how you can get set free. The Bible says that He will set us free from those things. I hope that that happens for you as it did for me. God bless you.